Today I'd like to talk about 3 examples of films that are excruciating. Excruciating to sit through because they depict so much pain and suffering and torment and despair and heartbreak and blood and guts and gore and so forth. And what intrigues me is I have very disparate reactions to all 3 of these movies. Yet all of them are what I would call excruciating movies, difficult to watch movies. Now, I used to be really fascinated by movies that are, that push the limits, push the envelope, and so forth. When I was in my late adolescence and early young adulthood, I was really kind of fascinated whenever I would hear about, this movie just goes so far. It's really difficult to sit through. There's so much, horrible things. It depicts so many horrible things and so forth. I remember there was a period of time when Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer came out at the same time as The Cook, the Thief, His Wife and Her Lover. This was like the early 90s, I believe. And at that time, both of those movies, I think, got threatened with an X rating. That was around the time I think NC-17 became a rating. Anyhow, I'm still interested in the general idea of pushing the envelope, and I can admire it. I admire ballsy filmmaking, just as I admire ballsy, writing in general. But I'm much, as an old man, I am much more cautious about what I put into my head, what I watch, what I allow to enter enter the vision of my eyeballs, and thus filter into my brain, and thus become a part of my psyche. So there are some films, I will never watch now. I'm still intrigued to hear about them, but I will never watch them. I'm not going to watch a Serbian film. I'm not going to watch Salo. I'm not going to watch Cannibal Holocaust. I know enough to know, no thanks, no way, no how. But 3 excruciating movies in the last few years that I have watched, and that I've had 3 very different reactions to, are what I'd like to talk about. For the next couple of minutes. I'm going to use Ari Aster because he's this new phenom, and people are really into him as this new auteur of horror. And I have seen both Hereditary and Midsommar. And Hereditary is a movie I wish I hadn't seen. I would just as soon never have seen it. Of course, you can't know that you never would have wanted to see it until you see it. That's the thing. But there was so much. I think the suffering of children, the suffering of both the younger daughter and the older son, was very hard for me to deal with. It was very upsetting. And somehow, just the whole notion that that evil was fated to win, and this family never had a chance, was just something that left a bad taste in my mouth. So, I did not like Hereditary. I did not admire Hereditary. I wish I hadn't seen Hereditary. I know a lot of people really love it. My daughter is one of them. So, and I know probably people watching this also really like it, but I did not like it. But Midsommar, on the other hand, now that was a movie that's a movie I'm glad that I saw. It's not a movie I think I ever would want to watch again, but I'm happy that I saw it, because it was ballsy. It was, it really took you places. It was kind of just kind of screwy. just kind of like, what the hell is going on, kind of stuff, and it pushed things, way beyond your comfort level, and I had no idea, ultimately where it was all going to end up, and where it all ended up. Again, once it was over, I thought, that was very well made, and I admire, unlike with Hereditary, I'm glad that I saw it, and I can admire this kind of filmmaking. But that said, I don't think I'd ever want to sit through it again. Okay. Now, the third example I'm going to use is Joker. Those of you who have watched me since my old incarnation on YouTube know that I recorded a bunch of videos about Joker in late 2019 when it came out. It was my favorite movie of the year, easily my favorite movie probably of the last 10 years or so. Great film. And I'm not gonna go into. I think I'll probably come back to talking about it sometime, because I think it is worth discussing. It was such an event. It was such a phenomenon. It was such a cultural, touchstone. It upset all the right people for all the right reasons. And not only was it, not only did it upset all the right people for all the right reasons, it was also really, really, really good, in my opinion. I know others disagree, and what can I tell you? That's just the way it is. But the way I want to comment on it now for this video, in the context of the discussion of those two other films, Hereditary and Midsommar. Joker is an excruciating film to watch. It's really difficult to see this guy suffer in this way for so long, in so many ways, physically, mentally, psychologically. It's so hard to watch him, Arthur Fleck, just absolutely get throttled and humiliated and run through the ringer. But then at some point, things turn around for him, and it's not a redemptive arc for his character, but it, because I don't think the way he ends up suggests redemption, but there is something deeply satisfying about where the character goes. And so Joker is an excruciating movie, but it was one, contrasting with Hereditary, which I saw and wish I'd never seen, and Midsommar, which I saw, was glad I had seen, but will never want to see again. Joker was one that I kept going back to. I mean, I kept watching it over and over and over and over again. It was an obsession of mine for a period of time. I couldn't get enough of it, and in spite of how excruciating it was, in spite of how difficult to watch it was, in spite of the fact that it really it pushed the envelope. I know that's a cliche, but it takes the viewer and it pushes him way past what he's comfortable with seeing. So it's just interesting to me. It's interesting to note, and these are just my own subjective reactions to these movies, but it's interesting to note that excruciating films can make you feel like you wish you'd never seen them, or you can like them and admire them, but never plan to see them again, or they can have a hypnotic power that makes you want to come back over and over and over and watch, get more and more out of every time you see it. So just wanted to register that. 3 excruciating films. What's an excruciating film for you? And how did you respond to it? Be curious to know what anybody has to say about that, or what anybody has to say about the examples that I gave. Thanks for watching. My name's Andy Nowicki. You can check out my work at altrightnovelist.com.